So I am doing Michel Foucault, and in the lecture that I analyzed, he addresses power in juridical forms and states that the Oedipus complex is an instrument of power. He starts off the lecture with the power relation. He starts off by saying the Greek word dunami, which means potentiality and actuality, and here he is referring to the potential truth of the gods and the actual evidence of truth from the slaves. And these two truths are in relation to each other. So he specifies this power relation with the use of two French words, savoir, which means power and knowledge, and connaissance, which means political power and knowledge. Throughout the lecture, he proceeds to specify that the gods and the prophets are the savoir half, and the shepherds are the connaissance half. Now, he moves on to say that there is indeed a complex in our civilization, but not specifically an Oedipus complex. For the Oedipus complex involves unconscious and desire, but this complex that he is discussing and referring to doesn't operate at the individual level. It operates at the collective level as a unit of things. It operates in connection with power and knowledge, and with this connection, it forms this complex he is talking about. So now I'm going to move on to truth mechanisms. So this mechanism follows the rule of halves. He specifies that the discovery of truth in the play Oedipus is formed by the fitting together and connection of these halves. So, for an example, in the Oedipus play, Apollo goes to the god and says the land has been defiled, but we don't know what caused the defilement. So, the god asks what caused the defilement. So then Apollo answers murder. So now we know the land has been defiled, and we know it was murder that defiled the land. So that's two halves that fit together to create one part of the story. And it goes on and on. The rule of halves continues through to the uncovering of the truth that the prophet Tereus utters, which is Oedipus killed the king Laius. Now we have the full truth, but it is from the one point of view. And Apollo and his mortal shadow, the prophet Tereus, that's the point of view that it's coming from. These halves of truth put together by Apollo and Tereus are said in the form of the future. So we have the truth from the level of the gods, but we need the present evidence of the past to uncover what really happened. And that present evidence is of the shepherds. The shepherds complete the circle of truth as their evidence corresponds to that of what the gods have prophesied. So now I'm going to move on to the Greek word symbolon, which is the process of power. So the process of power ends up proving itself. It completes its own circle, and the power maintains its unity by means of the game of separate halves that come to form one. It forms a unique object of whose internal form is the obvious form of power. So this symbolon process is evident in the play Oedipus through the form of the exercise of power. Now, still on the truth mechanism, throughout the play, the mechanism of truth-telling actually changes. It transforms from what the prophecy said at the beginning into what the shepherds stated at the end. And they are stating the same truth, but with different gazes. So they're seeing the same truth. Okay, the gods' gaze being in the form of prescription, and the shepherds' gaze being in the form of the past, which is the present evidence of what actually happened. So but it is the gaze of the witness, which is the shepherds, that ultimately completes a circle of truth in the game of halves. Now, back to the power relations that I talked about in the beginning. The gods and shepherds say the truths in different ways. They say the same truths. The two sides of the truth may be of different gaze, but they correspond to each other. And this is called the basic feature of the Oedipus tragedy, which is the communication between the shepherds and the gods. Now I'm going to apply the concepts. So the complex that Foucault discusses, that operates in connection with power and knowledge, is seen today in the judicial structure, which is court. The complex operates at the level of union with the jury, witness, judge, and etc. as they come together to form one truth. The truth mechanism that follows the rule of halves is seen as the piecing together of everyone's statements, which comes to form the one truth. For example, when the jury judges the case, they are judging in the form of fact. They need the supporting evidence from the witness to render a true verdict. With the evidence from the witness, the truth should be uncovered. Now, applying the characters from the Oedipus play to the court, in the case of court, the jury is the level of the gods and prophecies, and the witness is at the level of the shepherds. The prescriptive and prophetic form of the truth comes from the jury as they are judging from facts. And the present evidence from the past is supplied by the witness as they witnessed and they know what actually happened. Now, referring back to the Greek word dunami that I said at the beginning, which is potentiality and actuality, the potentiality of the jury's half of the truth corresponds to the actuality of the witness half of the truth. This connection between the jury and the witness, in the end, show how the power and knowledge manifest themselves. So the jury usually renders verdicts of truth and, fairness. Therefore, the jury tells the truth as well as the witness does. Now we see the shift in gaze between the two sides. The jury has the gaze of absolute prophetic truth, and the shepherds have the gaze of the past, the gaze supported with their evidence. They both speak of the same truth, but they see with different eyes. Through the trial, the gaze shifts from the powerful jury to the knowledge-bearing witnesses. But ultimately, it is the gaze of the witnesses that close the circle of the truth as they bear true and actual evidence. This court system is an example of the power relation that Foucault analyzes and applies to the Oedipus play. Referring back to the two French words I stated at the beginning, savoir and connaissance, power and knowledge and political power and knowledge. When applying the power relation to the court system, savoir signifies the jury and connaissance signifies the witness. Now, the jury and the witness say the same truths just in different ways. And in the end, one truth is revealed, the one formed by the connection between savoir and connaissance, so the jury and the witness. The jury has power and prescriptive knowledge, and the witness has evidential knowledge, which gives them some form of power. This is Foucault's definition of the exercise of power and knowledge, and also power relation. Now, lastly, I would like to discuss the process of the symbolon. Symbolon actually is a Greek word, but in English it means symbol. And it's the English definition of symbol is just like a general definition of the word. The Greek word has more of a complexity behind it. So I'm going to refer back to the reading again for this word. So again, with the symbolon, I would like to state the definition again, just to refresh it. So it's a process where power ends up proving itself and completes its own cycle. The power maintains unity in the way that it follows the rule of halves to form one truth. It forms a unique object of whose external form is the obvious form of power. And this object in the process of the formation is the truth, or whatever was being searched for. So this process of the symbolon is evident in the court system, as we see through the truth mechanisms along with the rule of halves and power relations. The court system appears to be one of the places that we see the complex that Foucault had addressed in his lecture. And that is it.